If you've been trying to journal daily but you keep skipping it, this Notion setup will change that. I'll show you how to build a simple, friction-free journaling system that you'll actually use, even if you're new to Notion. Let's jump in.
All right, we're first going to start with setting up our journal card database. So it's this one right here, where we'll have all these journal entries, right? And before we do that, I like to start with having a dashboard page if you don't have one. So it looks something like this, which what you're seeing right here. What it does is it has this kind of like container to all the most important Notion databases that you have. You might see other creators do this as well and turn it to templates. So it's just easy access to everything else within your system. For example, I show my second brain here. It has all sorts of things already in one place. So we can start by creating your page. Go to the left-hand side menu here and click on create a page. Don't create anything from these templates at all. We're going to start fresh and completely bare bones. This will allow you to customize your dashboard to your liking later on. So for now, just leave it empty. Just give it a name. Let's call it what I did before, which is second brain. And then I like to give an icon rather than emojis because they're flat style and you can just select any color as well to keep it consistent within your entire dashboard. So I'll keep it to blue, and I think you can search for brain. Okay, there you go. So in terms of where this page is located, you can find it on your left-hand side here, the side menu. If you don't find it here, like you can see, I have too many things already. So click more, you'll find everything here. You can either search by name or it's usually at the bottom here. So I can actually make this a favorite just to make it easier for me to find. And boom, we bump it up to the top here. Then you can close the side panel and let's get back into it. All right, next we're going to create our database for our journal. So to do that, you can go back to the side menu here, and I like to keep things within the same place where I have my dashboard. And in this case, it's my second brain. And I will click this add a page inside. And then from here, you can click on database. Notion will prompt you with a bunch of examples and templates. We don't need any of those for this exercise. We're just going to click empty database. And as usual, we're going to name our database. Let's call it journal card. And I like to put the prefix DB at the back so that I can identify quickly that it's a database. And again, for databases as well, you can give it an icon. So I like to take this database looking icon here. Now it's time to move to the next step, which is to add properties to the database. So right here by default, Notion will give you a name property and it's a text, but we'll change this to entry, as in journal entry. So this is where the journal entry will be recorded, right? If you write about your day, this is where it's going to go. Now we're going to go to the next one, and we can click here to add another property. And we're going to have the name for the property, which is type. And the type of the property itself is going to be a status. Now, this property is meant to label each journal entry. We can customize this further by clicking on the name of the property and then click on edit property. You'll see here there are default statuses that already been given by Notion, right? So we're going to change this. We're going to call it what went well. And we can change the color to green. And then we can change the other one to what didn't go well. And we'll give this a red color. We don't need this one, so we can delete. Now we're going to move on to adding a next property. And this one is going to be called topic. And it's a different type of property. It's going to be a selection property. And this is to categorize each journal entry as a topic to make it easier for us to organize and group things together. And then later on, when you use this for self-reflection and reading through your journals, we can filter to go through different types of topics to make it easier for you to scan. Not only that, these topics will also help us to focus on specific areas in our lives so that we can record our journals much more efficiently. Now let's edit the topic. And once again, clicking on the name, edit property, and then we'll add an option here. So these are my topics that I use for my own journal. Feel free to use whatever naming or grouping that you want for your own journal, right? So for example, for me, I have freedom. These are the things that are related to my business. And then I have finance. These are the things that are related to my main income source. Currently, it's my day job. I have another category for fitness. So anything related to mental health, physical health, just wellness all around. And then I have another category called family. This is quite obvious. This is for my own immediate family. Anything that is around our growth, our relationships goes here. And then finally, I have fun. So what I like to do is also to rearrange these based on my own manual sorting. So I'll leave it at manual. And this is how I'm going to have my topic set up. All right, now let's move on to the next property. We're going to add a date property, which is called date. And the type is also date. So this is to capture when a journal entry is created, which is useful for record keeping, and also later on during our reflection process, we're gonna do some filtering by date, and this will sort out all the different journal entries for us. Okay, that's our journal database all set up. To help reduce friction further when it comes to journaling, I like to use pre-filled templates. So this helps me to reduce the number of steps that I need to do when I'm actually adding a new journal entry, and also just gets me into the flow a lot faster. So here's how I set up my templates in Notion. So on this right-hand side here, we can click this button. If you click new, this can create a new entry. That's not what we want to do. I'm going to delete this. Instead, we want to click this arrow icon here and then create new template. All right, so I'm going to create two templates. This is the first one, which is what went well. And we can create here already the type what went well. It's already pre-selected. That's great. And then what we're going to do is put a placeholder text for our entry. So for me, it's what made today feel like a win. You can put any other prompts you want, but this helps me to get into the flow and just straight away write my journal entry, right? So that's the first template. Now we'll create another one. So if you click this button right here, you'll see that this is our first template here. Now we create a new template, and this is going to be what didn't go well. And for the prompt, we're going to put here what felt off today. Now, whenever I create a new entry for my journal, I can either click here to select one of these templates. Let's say what felt off today. Or I can just click new. And from here at the bottom, I can choose one of these templates. So let's say what made today a win. And you see there'll be the prompt already populated, and the type is already what went well. So this way I can just go into any of these entries and just change the entry here to say like, fell off my bike. And I can also edit this one here, ate some ice cream. So one more thing I like to do to tidy up before we move on is to switch off the comment section in these pages. At least if you're using Notion on your own, you won't need this. So to do that, we'll head to the three dots on the top right, customize layout, and then over here, you'll see page discussions. Let's turn that off. And then we apply to all pages. And then now when you go in, you won't find those comment sections anymore. Okay, so let's recap what we've done so far. We've set up the journal database to store all our journal entries as individual cards. We've also added the different properties here to help label and group our journal entries so that we can organize them. And we also created templates to make it a lot faster for us to create a new journal entry and make things more efficient. So this is a good start, and we can already use this as a foundation to start journaling. But if you go back out to our main dashboard, which is here, the second brain, this is usually the thing that you'll look at every single time you want to journal. And there's nothing here that is enticing for you. You have to click into the journal card DB, and then you have to go in and start filling stuff up. So there's two problems I see here, which is the first one is you have to go one layer deep. And the second one is there's no visual cues to help trigger you to start journaling and take action. To solve that, let's build a daily journal view to solve these problems. All right, to build our daily journal view, let's head back out to our main dashboard, in this case, the second brain, and let's make more room for ourselves. We can close this sidebar here. So we'll make more room for our dashboard journal view by dividing the section in this page. So you can do these dividers by /command 2C for 2 columns. So you'll notice that when you hover your mouse, there's one part here, and then there's another section here. It's quite hard to see because it's hidden, but right now I can move this journal card DB here, and then I can do something else here. Let's say if I want to type something, right? So now effectively we've divided the page to two. Now you can just go ahead and create a daily journal view from here, but I prefer to have a container first because this will help me to create some sort of visual separation between the different items on my dashboard. So to create a container, I like to use a callout. So we click somewhere here and use our slash command again, callout. And by default, there's already a border around here and an icon and something you can write in here. We can name this journal entry. Let's change the icon as well. This entire background here can be changed by clicking here. You can hover to color and you can make sure that it's default background color to make sure that it'll have this nice outline here with nothing in the background. Okay, now we're going to add a linked database view for our daily journal view. So this allows us to view and edit another database, which is, for example, this journal card database, without having to go in there and manually do things or cloning it unnecessarily. So we can just access it directly from this view. So to do that, we're going to use a slash command again, but this time it's going to be a link view of database. And it's going to ask us to select either a new database, a new table, or a new DB. So I had a demo one here, so luckily I named it differently. So I'm going to select this one, which is the one that we're doing right here. And we can create a new view here. And we're going to make sure that this view is a different format, which is the board format. We can name this view to help us identify this in the future when we add more views. So we're going to call it daily. And we're going to have an icon here. I think I'll use maybe this calendar with days on it and just click on done. You can actually resize things a bit here. Now let's adjust this view's settings. One of the first things I like to do to remove clutter is to hide the name of the database. And then we can also click on the settings button here. On the layout itself, the card preview should be set to none. We don't need this. Card size, I like to keep it medium, but you can adjust based on your preference. So you can see here, it'll adjust accordingly. And then I'm okay to leave the page icon on. You can switch it off as well. So there will be an icon on each of these journal entries since they are pages on their own. And then wrap all properties. I like to leave this enabled. This allows our text to be readable even when we type an entry that's a bit too long. It won't be cut off. And then group wise is going to be based on type. That's correct. And then we're going to use colored columns as well because this enables us to have those background and those entries to have respective colors based on the type. So if it's by default, it's going to be black or gray, depending on your settings. Everything else is fine. I'm just going to leave it there. The good thing about using a board format layout is that we can have access to subgrouping. So to do this, we can go to settings and then we go to subgroup. And then we can choose to subgroup by topic. And then we can see here the different arrangement of the group. You can also arrange them based on your preference. I like to put it in this sequence for my own journal. So now let's say we adjust this setting here to be a topic of fun. And then this one will be topic of maybe fitness. Sometimes they might disappear. So to avoid that, just click show all and it'll show everything. I like to disable empty groups so that I can see everything up front and then I can easily prompt those journal entries. In fact, I can rearrange this so that no topic goes to the bottom, but it's up to you how you want to rearrange or even hide some of these categories. Now, the other thing we want to do is to only show what entries we've written for today. So we can go to filter, date, and then make sure start date is relative to today. And this is set to the day. And the reason why our entry disappears is because when we go back to our journal DB, you'll find that their date field is empty here. If we put today's date, let's say August 5th, now when we go back, fell off, my bike is here under fitness, fun, ate some ice cream is also here, right? So to avoid this problem, what we want to do is modify our templates to automatically add today's date. So go back here to templates. We can modify this template here. And then we're going to go to date. And then we're going to click on the shortcuts here, which Notion has kindly provided to us. So whenever we create a new template entry, it will automatically capture today's date. We can modify the date later, but at least this helps us to avoid missing that step. So do the same for the second template. So now whenever we create a new journal entry, we can click here and say, I don't know, recorded this YouTube video. It's gonna capture that date as well. So here it automatically captures, it knows it's for today. In fact, if you click here, you can also create an entry like this, and you can see that it's already auto-capturing today's date. There's one more thing. If you notice that this current setup now for the dashboard is a bit weird, there's a lot of space here and it's not aligned. One way to solve that, at least for me, is to click on these three dots and put to full width. And that gives us way more room because we're taking full advantage of the entire width of the page. And this is how we can have our future setups down here. We can create more things later on into this dashboard in Notion.
By the way, I'll be making more tutorials like this one to show you all the Notion upgrades that I'm making along the way. So when that video is ready, it'll be right here. In the meantime, check out this other video right here.